Hi everybody, this is Steve Ludwig, host of Steve Ludwig's Classic Pop Culture and the Beatles Hour with Steve Ludwig at PlanetLudwig.com. Here's an interview we did with JIMY SOHNS on September 9th, 2014. It's from show number 57. To hear the entire show, check out the menu at PlanetLudwig.com. And now, please enjoy the interview. And we just heard the iconic Gloria by Shadows of Night. Before that, we heard Oh Yeah from Raw and Alive at the Cellar album. We're going to talk more about that in a second, but it is my extreme pleasure to welcome the voice of the Shadows of Night, Mr. JIMY SOHNS. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
I should say...
What's going on there in New York today?
It's very, very humid. How about you in Chicago?
Same thing. Same kind of thing.
I should have said the great voice of JIMY SOHNS, because, Jimmy, your voice is so, I'll tell you, when you hear anything by the Shadows of Night, now you were the original lead singer, you're still carrying on the Shadows of Night name.
Well, before me in 1963, the Tom Shafor and Warren Rogers and another guy, Norm Gotch, were a kind of a surf music trio. They had no bass player, and they didn't do any songs with vocals except for Sugar Shack by Jimmy Gilman and the Fireballs. So right. Yes, I have been, still am, and don't know if I hope it'll be this way, but the only voice ever of the Shadows of Night.
You have to be the only voice, Jimmy, no matter what happens. When you decide to stop one way or the other, I think Shadows of Night has to stop. Did you ever think, Jimmy, way back when, in the 60s, were you just kind of looking for the next album? Did you think you'd ever be still going on like this?
I never planned to stop, to say. Did I? And I never thought of myself as ever being anything more than a singer or something different. I have been. I've been a sound engineer. I've done quite a bit of studio recording. I've been traveled all over the country with different bands. Some of them pretty popular. I did Monitors for Sting and Police. I did some stuff for AC/DC and REO and Classic Rock All-Stars all over South America. I did quite a few local bands in the Chicago area. There was a band off-Broadway that had an album on Atlantic that was very big here. I was involved with Cheap Trick right before they broke out of the club circuit. Enough's Enough. 80s guys, Enough's Enough with Chips Enough and the Boys. Mm-hmm. I was involved with them when they were in their high school bands. I was fortunate enough to, because of the hit records or whatever, own quite a bit of sound equipment, which I just about gave away for a song and a dance, just so I wouldn't have to store it and move it, actually. But I broke the big PA down into 3 PAs and would give it to the different bands because there was no way they could afford to have any kind of equipment like that, since I'd had the good fortune to, or misfortune, however you judge it, of winding up with 3 trucks worth of PA gear. I did what I could to kind of pass the baton along. There was a band called Jamestown Massacre, which changed their name to Mariah, and they had a Chicago hit called Summer Sun, and the lead singer in that band was Dave Bickler, who went on to sing "Eye of the Tiger." So I've been around a lot of the kids as they're growing up. I was kind of instrumental in getting Tommy Shaw into Styx when he was just in a local band called MS Funk that used to open for us all the time.
Tell us about that, Jimmy. What hand did you play in that?
I knew the guys in Styx. I knew they were looking for another guitar player to go with JY, and that they were changing direction. And I knew that Tommy was ridiculously talented and such a great singer. And I guess we could say that worked out pretty well.
I think he owes you.
No, Tommy and I are just good friends. I don't ever do this so people owe me. I do it because I just like to pass the baton and keep somebody running towards their pie in the sky. As I tell everybody, never give up your dream. Be realistic about it. Know that it's a good chance that it couldn't happen. Except, of course, with us. We knew we were going to be stars. We knew Gloria was #1 record. We knew it. The problem was convincing our original managers because they didn't like Gloria. They wanted to put Oh Yeah out first, the Bo Diddley tune. And they made a number of gigantic mistakes. They turned down Stepping Stone by Boyce and Hart before the Monkees did it.
Oh, boy.
At that point, we were doing a lot of stuff with Walter and the Raiders. I became very close with Mark Lindsay. And he said, I got this song, we just did a demo. And at that time, the Raiders did most of the Boyce and Hart demos. It was just them. Which one they wound up being some of their studio cuts and stuff. And Mark said, Jimmy, this is you, and this Stepping Stone, this is just you, man. You got to do this. And Bill Trout and the boys turned it down, said it was a weak piece of material.
Real weak.
Oh,
real weak to #1. But, I'll tell you, Jimmy, with Gloria, about a year before Shadows of Night covered it, them with Van Morrison did it. But your version
wait. Let's be factual about this.
Okay.
Gloria was not a Van Morrison single, them single. It was the B-side of Baby Please Don't Go.
Okay.
Baby Please Don't Go was a hit in Europe. Some of the stations turned it over here. And there's a whole lot more difference in our Gloria. I know some of these are in some of the questions we plan on talking about. I might as well get into them. There's a lot more difference in our Gloria than just the one line of the words I changed. Number one, ours is more rhythmic. It has that hesitation in between the D and the A chords isn't in ours. As a matter of fact, our Gloria is not a 3-chord song by the Shadows. It's a 4-chord song. Because we strum the open neck is actually a chord. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's a 4th chord. And instead of hesitating that, the right hand keeps going with a straight rhythm, and it makes the touch more of rhythmic in it is one of the big reasons. Remember back then, Dick Clark used to have to rate the song and all that. I gave it an 80 because it had a good beat and I could dance to it, or that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Well. Those are the little subtle changes that, and I think the biggest thing is that because it was actually a B-side for them, they didn't pay attention to a lot of details on it. It was far too long to be a single. I remember 2 minutes and 30 seconds was stretching it. At 2:38, some of the stations originally were fading ours out. Mm-hmm. So that was too long. But it was a 3-minute song.
Yeah, 3:05, sure. Yeah.
It had a lot of open parts with nothing going on in it. By now, almost everybody knows that Jimmy Page played that solo. That's Jimmy Page playing a studio deal. And if you think back to the them version, they just strum ZDA for 4 or 5 measures before anything comes in. It doesn't go like ours does. It just keeps doing the chords, and then he does he slides into it, and then there's a solo. After the solo, there's a whole lot more open measures when they have their little Farfisa organ going dee 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 dee, that kind of stuff. So all of that was because they didn't treat it as an A-side. They never would have let those open parts. It's also slightly out of tune, the bass player after the solo, but a lot of songs are slightly out of tune back then. It was a different era. We went more for songs that had a better feel, a track that had a better feel, as compared to one that was more perfect musically, shall we say?
Yep. So you guys, I was going to say, you guys. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, it's just little mistakes sometimes were cooler than other things. Just like I have a lot of trouble singing Gloria exactly like I cannot sing it exactly like I sang it in 1966, because in 1966 when I was 19, I was really learning the trade. I was advanced in a lot of ways, and I was behind in a lot of ways. there's a couple of lines where there's, let's say, 8 syllables, and then there's one where there's 13, which really you can't do, but you can't tell that to somebody who's 19. Mm-hmm. Of course I can do it. I just did it.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
You know, and some of that stuff where you kind of speed up and slow down and then come out on the beat, I can't do that anymore because I've learned that that's wrong, and I have a meter running in my head where back then it was just a raw feel and you could do whatever you felt like because you were 19 and you could. Yeah. But I mean, it's funny to say that, but I really can't sing it exactly like I sang it. Nor do I even try anymore. But that's some of the stuff that as you learn, you know, and we thought we were being real, shall we say, more authentically American Negroes when I would say mojo woikin rather than working. Mm-hmm. But we thought that was cool. There's another question there. See, I really did read the outline you sent me. No, we were not emulating English bands blues. We were Chicago blues. They were into the blues a lot sooner than most bands here, I think is how that quote got a little bit out of context, or it might have just been said wrong. But we were actually a band from this region doing the blues, and bands like the Stones and the Yardbirds and the Animals and the Pretty Things, all my favorite bands at the time, were early on into a lot of the Chicago blues songs, and so they took notice of us. The fact that we're pretty good at it kind of helped too. But you know, here we were a band from the area where all the songs they were doing. You got to remember that we were doing Boom Boom and I Just Want to Make Love to You and Hoochie Hoochie Man and Spoonful. We did Spoonful before Cream. We did those songs because those were all the stock Keeping and Hiding by Jimmy Reed. Those were all the stock blues songs that every blues band did. And that Stones and Animals and some of the bands did. So it kind of put us in the same category. And of course, then again, when they started calling us the American Rolling Stones, that didn't hurt the image much either.
No.
And if you think of that Live and Raw from the Cellar album that you brought up, and if you listen to that album and you listen to Got Live If You Want It by the Stones, I defy you to tell which one's which in some of it because that was just that wide open bleed through the vocal microphone. You know, that the Live and Raw from the Cellar, those were lost masters. Otherwise, that's just a two-track quarter-inch tape running wild through the vocal mics. That's all that is. But it had that feel and that kind of thing that was going on then. We definitely had that feel. And the new one that's coming out, they found some more tracks and rearranged some of the older ones.
That's live from 65 we're talking about, right?
Yeah, live from 65. Yeah, on Sundays, which are great people, Bob Irwin and Tim and all those guys at Sundays. I love those guys.
Yeah, that's great label.
They have taken, they've taken like the cream of the crop of the bands from then and putting us all in one area where you can find us all at once is a great deal. I'm trying to talk them into having a deal in New York City where we come and play. We all know that around Christmas time, all record companies sell more albums that time of the year than ever. And that's one of the big push for this one. And a lot of others will be out. And I'm trying to talk them into letting us all have some kind of a big concert somewhere.
Oh, wow, that'd be great.
I talk with Vinny and Mark Stein from Vanilla Fudge and guys from Blues and Dudes all over the place. Stookie from Naz. I mean, we're gonna have a rave up somewhere if they let us. And I'll come all the way from Chicago to do it. I'm not afraid of getting on my American Airlines flight and flying out there.
Well, you know what,
American Airlines because my wife has been with American Airlines for 30 years.
So that helps. So we can expect this before Christmas or around Christmas time.
Well, I'm hoping.
Yeah, that's the hope. Yeah,
we've got other stuff going on around here. I'm very proud to be part of the Ides of March 50-year anniversary, which is coming up on the 27th.
What's that about?
September. And the Ides. Well, actually, we've all been together the same amount of time, but they pulled it first. So they get to have the first 50-year anniversary. Jimmy Peterick, tremendous guy. And the Eyes, it's all the original band with the Eyes, all the same guys.
Still.
They are playing at the College of DuPage Auditorium. They have a theater auditorium here on the 27th of September. They're doing their anniversary, and they're having Carl G. Maurice from the Buckinghams. They're having Ronnie Rice from New Colony, Toad, Tom Dooley from the Crying Shames, myself. It's going to be fun. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Jim, you mentioned, the rave up. You used that term before. Back in 2006, you guys headlined Little Steven's Underground Garage Tour.
We did, and that was fun.
Yeah, I've seen some clips. Go ahead. I've seen some clips on YouTube.
Steven is quite the character.
Yeah.
He is a character. I've known Steven for the longest time. He's been with Springsteen, of course, forever. And he's dying from this 3-year-long tour. I talked to Steven a lot. He called me up and he just did the Rascals production thing, which was more like a musical than actually just a concert.
Yeah, I saw it on Broadway. Yeah,
well, it was pretty neat. I saw it here in Chicago. I talked to Steven all the time, and he put the tour together. And it was really, when you think about it, it was ironically wrong but great at the same time. We had Romantics in the Shadows, and I don't want to get through, we went on after them, but they, sometimes they were the headliner, sometimes we were the headliner. It was a great show. I love those guys. But here you have an 80s band that had a 60s hit in the 80s. was what I like about you, playing with the 60s guys, but it was a great combination. And at the end, my good buddies from Cheap Trick got on that show on the last day. And that had to be a record for production. I've been around stuff a long time now, 50 years. I've never in my life before, it was the day before Halloween, was the last day of that tour, and we were at the Hollywood, Florida. The Anna Nicole Hard Rock. You'll have it where she took one too many of her little helpers, or maybe 20 too many, I don't know.
Yeah, I think more than one. I think you're right.
Yeah, because it would take more than one to fill those up. Oh, cha-ching. Thanks, you'll be here all week.
Yeah. Tip the waiters.
Yes, but keeping abreast of things.
Yes, right.
Anyways,
don't be a boob about
that show was recorded the day before Halloween and was edited and on Halloween on VH1 Classics.
Oh.
Now that is some burning of the midnight oil.
Mm-hmm. Actually,
that's a great show.
You can catch it on YouTube. Some clips from that show.
Oh yeah, well yeah, and they still run it every once in a while. It pops up on VH1 Classic. Mm-hmm. It's been on it 54 times. I know because I get paid. I get my royalties.
You still do get the royalties.
Put that whole thing together, and everybody's going, man, you had everybody. But if you really look at the end, you have all of Cheap Trick. You have Little Steven plugged into the 5-neck guitar. You've got my guys wandering around. You've got Wally and the guys from the Romantics wandering around strumming things, and guys from the band The Charms. There's only 3 amps, but there's 20 guys with guitars. But you don't need to be plugged in enough into play glory. I always tell everybody, you want to be in the video, stick close to the singer.
Right. Jim, you mentioned you get your royalties from that. In the 60s, a few bands.
Yeah, that was a different bird in the royalty. Royalties were like a Fig Newton of your imagination.
Yeah,
there was something they talked about you were going to get. We got screwed, as most bands did.
That's unbelievable, especially what happened in the 50s. I don't know. Maybe I'm just naive.
Yeah, I got one for you. So here's Gloria. #1 everywhere. Did it in German and French and Italian, all these different languages. It's #1 everywhere. And here's our guys assuring us that it didn't sell 1 million. Yet, now Dark Side, the backside of Gloria. I knew 2 things when I was young. Thank God. I knew I was not going to give away the backside of a song that I was positive in my heart and mind was going to sell 1 million. So I was going to write the backside of Gloria no matter what. Now, at the time, I was the only one in the original band who could read or write music. But I didn't play anything in the band. I played saxophone, flute, clarinet, and oboe for 12 years through grade school and high school. But I could play Gloria because I learned those 3 chords. So it dawned on me and my 19-year-old wisdom, or whatever it was, overly, what did they call me? Overly testosterone-driven skirt chaser. Which hasn't changed much.
I was going to say you and a few other million people right from the 60s.
Yeah. And anyways, I decided that I would write Gloria, the backside of Gloria would be Gloria backwards. So Dark Side, instead of EDA, it was DAE. I couldn't play it fast enough for it to be a fast song. It became a ballad, and it became probably our 3rd or 4th most popular song ever. It still gets many, many requests today. And speaking of YouTube, there's a tremendous live Dark Side from about 9 years ago on there.
So that's Gloria backwards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Backside of Gloria, Gloria backwards. So I decided to do that, and I decided to trademark the Shadows of Night name, which had I not done that, I would have been in the same boat sinking out in the ocean with John Fogerty. I would have not been able to even play under my own name when the record company got a hold of everything. But I did. And as the royalty statements came out, they paid me for almost 2 million copies of Dark Side and told us Gloria didn't sell 1 million. Now, you figure that one out.
Explain
I don't
that
care.
Yeah, where's the logic in
what
that?
kind of new math you got going on there. One side doesn't sell twice as many as the other. Well, of course, they explained it by saying, we overpaid you.
Yeah.
Like that would ever happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Where does a 19-year-old get the foresight to copyright a name?
I have no idea. I think
what a great. Yeah.
Here to begin with, we were not the Shadows of Night until the record came out. We were the Shadows. That was it. We went to Prospect High School, all 5 of us, and until right before we recorded, when one guy enlisted, another guy was going to get drafted. We were just going to record, and then right before the record came out, our on-the-spot management company decided that they were changing our name. I said, what do you mean changing our name? We've got this huge following all over, within 100-mile of radius of Chicago, we were the Rolling Stones. They flocked up, every place we went to was over capacity. They yelled, they screamed, all the things they did then. And then they're going to change our name. And I said, what are you talking about? And they said, well, there's this band, Cliff Richard and the Shadows, so you're going to have to change your name. And, of course, they never really legally researched it. We would have had to have done nothing. We would have been called the American Shadows in England or Germany. Or if that's all we had, would have put the American on the front of it. That would have been it. But they told us we were going to be the Time, T-Y-M-E. And I said, no, we're not. That's nuts. I'm not doing that.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
And they said, okay, smart guy, then what are you going to be? And I said, the Shadows of Night with a K. And, of course, I said K because I thought it sounded English and everything at the time was the British invasion. And it never, subliminally, in the back of my mind, I guess, all of my 3-letter men, I was a 3-letter man in high school, football, baseball, and wrestling. And my school spirit struck me. Yeah, it smells like school spirit, all right. Anyway, we were the Shadows of Night, and that's how it stuck, and that's how it was. But the original 5 Shadows from Prospect High School, which is funny, Dave Kingman, the famous baseball player, also went to Prospect High School. He was a freshman. I was a senior. And it was funny because Dave got a hold of me about 20 years ago. He goes, hey, remember me? We're both on the same team. And I said, yeah. I remember you. Yeah. And he said, well, I hit home runs. You hit records. Isn't that crazy? I said, no, it's kind of neat. Dave Kingman went to Prospect High School with me. Kong, we call him, and they call him that later, too. Great guy.
Was he a great guy? I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He was also a pitcher. He pitched when he didn't hit the ball where you couldn't find it. I just did that. I just had my 50-year reunion for the class of 64, and they did the weirdest thing they could have ever done. They hired the Shadows of Night to play for the reunion, and I had a ball. It was great.
Hey, speaking of Kong and baseball, Jimmy, last Tuesday, September 2nd, you had a very nice thing going on during the seventh inning stretch. Why don't you tell us about that?
I did. Glenn Hughes, the Chicago Cubs TV announcer for the last few years, he's a Chicago area guy who grew up here. He was up in Milwaukee with the great Bob Uecker for a long time as his sidekick, and now he's taken over in Chicago. He's about 10 years younger than I am. He plays guitar, so that put him right in the target area for Gloria. So he's been a fan for a long time. We got to know one another, and he said, "Man, I see your Facebook page. You're so active." And I said, "Yeah, I'm lucky. I have a person that runs it for me, and I'm up to about 4,500 people a day go through my page every day, and at which we will list this show on here and see what we can do." But yeah, he said to me, "So you've toured the Rolling Stones, you met Ed Sullivan and Dick Clark and all that. What do you want to do?" I said, "Well, I never sang the 17 at Wrigley Field." And he said, "Well, that's a done deal." And 2 weeks later, there I was.
Wow.
And it was a game against Milwaukee. He was in first place. And it's kind of ironic. Everybody, whether they call me the Gloria guy or whatever, the biggest audience of my life by far, 4 million people, is a bad day on a Cub broadcast. And what don't I sing? I don't sing Gloria. I sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. So it was fun, though. It really was fun. Yeah. And, I've got grandchildren that are 12 and 14, and I had them there. And as luck would have it, I have one Cub fan, one White Sox fan. So they're still trying to beat each other up in the stands. But they both kind of thought it was neat. And, and my daughter and my wife and my closest friends were all there. And it was really, really unique for me.
And your other stuff will forever be floating around in cyberspace forever, which is it's a nice feeling, right?
Well, I have it in my will. Once they burn me up, I told that in my will it says they should have a big party and throw me on the bonfire, and everybody that stands down win from me, take a big whiff, and you'll be higher than you've ever been in your life for a while. And then some of my ashes have to go to the left field bleachers, and some of them have to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, which I just had a couple weeks ago. And there's actual, I don't want to jinx anything, but there's some rumbling under of finding some Shadows recognition in Ohio. Let's just say it that way.
Well, let me say it's long overdue. Whenever they finally decide, I mean, it's not if, it's when you guys are going to be inducted.
Well, they have this thing. They had a pamphlet when it first opened called "The 500 Songs That Shaped Rock and Roll," and I was very pleased to find us in there, and to find that the only Gloria in there was us. No them, no Jimi Hendrix, which was a big live thing, Hendrix, Morris, and all that. Mm-hmm. Nobody, no Patti Smith, no nothing at the time, just us those Chicago guys. And now they don't have those pamphlets anymore. They have these little video rooms with a touch screen on the wall. Of course, it's on the Hall of Fame page, but you can touch on inductees and all the names come up. You can touch home page, or you can touch the songs that shaped rock and roll. And the girl said, "Here, go ahead, push that." And then she said, "This is going to sound redundant. Can you spell Gloria, Jimmy?" And I said, "What? Is this a joke?" And she says, "Go ahead, type it in there." So by the time I got to the I, there we were on the screen, playing with a whole little thing running, a whole scrolling down about that's where I got the overly testosterone-driven skirt.
Yeah, well, Gloria is the Shadows of Night, Jimmy. There's no everyone else just You guys are up here with glory, and everybody else just follows way below.
Well, you know what? It's just, it's funny because everybody remembers Gloria and that kind of thing. And we did have 6 national chart records in Shake. The first and the sixth were both $1 million. Shake sold $1 million. And that was when I was involved with the Casnets Cats thing, which was, I know, another thing you wanted to move into.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I was in the studio when a lot of those songs were being put together. I did the scratch tracks. In other words, sang the vocal with the melody for whoever's going to be the singer of which band to learn. And in some cases, some of it got left on, but I am the background voice on a lot of those.
Such as? Yeah, well, why don't we move to the Buddha years, or with the Buddha label?
To me, I met Neil Bogart from Buddha, Kama Sutra Buddha, whatever, but my whole involvement was with Casnet's Cats, Sherry and Jack.
Okay.
And those guys were brilliant in their own way. They knew what was going on. People used to make fun of bubblegum music and this and that, but you know what? 25 million people bought that music, so they were doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
When you can make that many people feel good, you do something right. I was proud to be part of that too.
Yeah. Now, you or some members of Shadows of Night sang background on hits like Yummy, Yummy, Yummy and things like that you were just alluding to.
Yeah. Yep. We did.
Yeah.
And and we played different things. There's congas and cowbells and wood blocks and all kind of crap. There's like 15 percussion tracks as things on Shake, for instance. Shake, but the thing with Shake with us, for instance, we didn't have a keyboard player. There was no dee-dee-dee-dee. That was done on a guitar when we originally did it. It was and if you can think of it, I mean, it was a brilliant hit record. It was well produced. It sounded great. But if you take that organ off and go down with a guitar, it becomes a much heavier song.
Yeah,
That scared them. They were scared. They had a formula and it worked. It scared us the first time we heard it because we didn't have a keyboard player. we flew to Detroit and it was already on CKLW. It was already #1. We flew in there. We were a little bit late with the flight. We were lip syncing it. They put the track on. We looked at each other dumbfounded, wondering where I was going to pull a keyboard out of my butt to try to play, But after we got that straightened out, it's just one of the things that happens.
Yeah,
but
I had Frank Jekyll on, founder and leader of the 1910 Fruit Gum Company, a few months ago.
Yeah.
And they were involved with Buddha and all too. And he said that members of his band, originally they didn't want to go bubblegum, and some of the younger members were actually upset with having to play bubblegum music. But like you said, Frank Jekyll said,
we were too, because not so much we were upset with it, but we weren't geared to it. At the time that came out, we were a 3-piece power trio with me up front. We were playing like the Grandy Ballrooms, the Boston Tea Party, Fillmore East and West, and we didn't quite fit in there with that song, especially with the little keyboard part on it. But so here we were, and we had at that time it was '69. It was psychedelia. We had the big sideburns that looked like beards and paisley shirts and Nehru jackets and all, and I remember that my bass player looked just like Jesus. In every picture you could see, and here comes this blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it was up for a while because we couldn't, where the song was a hit, we weren't cut to be in those kind of venues with the younger kids. And where we were playing, they weren't playing Shake because they were playing 8-minute long songs on FM radio because they could.
Of course, yeah.
So for a while we were kind of lost, and then we had a hit record and couldn't play anywhere. But we quickly adapted.
Jimmy, how do you feel about labeling bands? Because Shadows of Night, you could be called a psychedelic band, a garage band, a punk band.
Well, Well, you know, at Garage
how do you feel about labels?
I don't think the bands do. I think the people do. The DJs, the magazines. I remember we were in Tiger Beat magazine in 16, all that kind of crap then. But like garage rock and punk meant a different thing than it did right before I beat up Sid Vicious.
Yeah, look, you know what? I have to stop you right there, Jimmy. Tell me about that story, the altercation you had with Sid Vicious.
Okay, this is a story. You couldn't make this up. I couldn't make this up if I tried with a team of writers. We're at Hurrah in New York City. Now, I know, because of my association with Seika and Tracy Lords, and let's just leave it at that, I had an association with them. They were friends of mine. I knew that most of the Swedish erotica movies, most of the Swedish erotica movies were filmed at Hurrah. And I knew Johnny Holmes, and I knew Eric Edwards. I knew a lot of the guys. I was one of the guys for a while. Anyway,
that's a whole other interview here.
I'll never forget that Johnny Holmes had a copy of Gloria on him, shall we say? With it would have to be a 45 to have that old on his spindle. Yes, right. Okay. And he took it off and asked me to sign it, and I said, "Well, after it dries, maybe I could."
Oh God!
But anyways, we had some of those kind of parties. Anyways, I'm looking forward to this kind of like a reunion of going back to the last times I was there with those people, and then we weren't really. I wasn't doing sound then, so I was making sounds. But I was in this room. I'm in a sound booth, and right towards the end, I see a big commotion up towards the front of the stage. Jimmy Skafish, great talent, great guy. Skafish and his band. We were on the way to England. We were going to England, and I was doing sound, and in the booth, I see this commotion start. I get out of the booth. I'm going towards the stage. We had a girl drum roadie named Tara, and her boyfriend was Todd Smith, Patty's brother.
Okay.
And I'm the only guy in this place who doesn't know who Sid Vicious is from could have been Babe Ruth. I wouldn't have known. And everybody's yelling, Sid didn't do it, Sid didn't do it. When I'm getting closer, I see that somebody's bleeding a lot, and then to my horror and surprise, I see that it's Todd Smith. That somebody's broken a bottle, a Heineken bottle, and almost cut his eye out, and he's bleeding all over the place. And I see this guy with his hand bleeding, which turns out to be Sid Vicious. And here's a moron that goes into a place where everybody in the place, besides myself, knows who he is. He's already on bond for his altercation and everything with his old lady, and takes a beer bottle, breaks it, and cuts somebody in front of everybody. Now, that's a lot of brains there, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
So I said, hey, put that bottle down, and he spit at me. So I did the all-American thing. I beat the shit out of him. And I was wailing on him when I see all the cops coming. I'm thinking, oh, my God, I'm probably in trouble now for wailing on this guy. The cops just took him and dragged him down the stairs with his head hanging out the stairs. It was kind of comical. So I've got his blood all over me, and he managed to rip my T-shirt. And I've got his blood all over me, and here's Jimmy Skafish. Have you ever heard any of the Skafish stuff? Brilliant guy. He was on IRS.
No, Jimmy, I haven't. I'm sorry to say I haven't.
He had hits in England. He was kind of like New Wave Zappa.
Okay,
he was brilliant, and stuff was different, to say the least. He kind of looked like Tiny Tim with breasts.
That's rhetorical, isn't it? No, I'm sorry.
yeah. And anyways, so after this whole thing is calming down and I'm getting my breath back, I hear Jimmy Skafish. And my good friend, road manager, and the man who protects me, sang this song and made it #1. He's going to sing it right now. And they start playing Gloria. And I'm trying to go, no, you know. So there I am, Sid's blood all over my hands and arm.
Ripped T-shirt.
Ripped shirt, singing Gloria. Only in America.
Yeah, really. It's amazing.
Next morning I wake up and there's a picture of me straddling on top of him, smacking him in the chops a few times, and the caption was "Old punk teaches new punk lesson."
That's for sure. What a great! Do you still have that picture? You still have that article somewhere?
No, I wish I did, but I know that it's in Rolling Stone. There's many
in their
archives.
Okay, yeah.
And of course, little Steven knew all about it. Little Steven Van Zandt knows everything about everything.
Yeah, he does.
He's a rock and roll historian. A great guy. I can't say enough about Steven.
Yeah, I love listening to his Underground Garage show on Sirius.
Yep.
XM.
Yeah, he's about half my royalty check. Are you kidding me?
well, you deserve it.
He even played. We had a couple of instrumentals on the album and stuff. New York Bullseye and that stuff. He plays those.
So, Jimmy, you mentioned your Facebook page. What is the name of the Facebook page? Shadows of Night? Is it Jimmy Songs?
Now, we all know that I spell my name funny. I'm Jimmy with one M.
Right.
So it's Jimmy Sonhs, Sohns, just like Jimmy Johns, but it's Jimmy Sonhs, apostrophe. Jimmy Sonhs' Shadows of Night Facebook page. If you just go Jimmy Sonhs, you get the other page, and it have most of the music stuff on it.
So it's Jimmy Sonhs.
Jimmy Sonhs' Shadows of Night Facebook page.
And how about merchandise and things like that? How can fans?
You can. I've got T-shirts, CDs. I've got a very best of Jimmy Sonhs and Shadows of Night. Of course, there never was one, but there is now, because with the way record companies and royalties and everything are, especially the original guys, I just put my own out, because that way I might see a few pennies from them,
cut out the middleman.
I have Shadows of Night shirts, which is the regular name. I have Jimmy Sonhs Shadows of Night shirts, which is actually the tattoo off my arm, which is an American eagle head wrapped in red, white, and blue stars. It's kind of cool. And you can go to that page, and I send stuff out. I do the little PayPal thing and the little square you can plug into your phone now and all that, because that's kind of how you have to do it. I still travel. I do a lot of shows all over the country. How many
shows a year do you do, Jimmy? Approximately
50.
Seems you're always 55. On the road.
But
wow.
I do a lot of those are full band shows. Now I do other stuff too. I do with a couple of local guys. Mike Brock, who was in Herman's Hermits for a while, and Bobby Abrams, who was Buckingham guitar player for 25 years. They have a little acoustic duo, and it sounds funny acoustic, but with those two guys sing like birds. They sing so high it makes my underwear hurt. It's my quote for them. But they're mixing that with my gravelly kind of bluesy voice. I mean, we do everything from Everly Brothers to T-Rex. I mean, we just do stuff. You name a song, we can do it.
That'd be a great sound, boy.
I'm famous for my very weird medleys. I hear, because there really are just not that many real progressions in rock and roll. They're all part of something. We do Patti Smith into Bon Jovi. It just sounds weird, but some of the songs are the same.
I'm sure it works.
Because the night belongs to lovers, because the night to shot through the heart, and you're to blame. It's just, they're the same song. They have different melody.
Sure.
We do John Fogerty, Rock and Roll Girls, into Downtown by Lulu.
Wow. That I'm trying to...
We not only do medleys, we do two songs at the same time, two different songs at the same time. It's just the weird things I hear.
You do live mashups, pretty much, almost.
yeah, and and I don't know. There's that album that came out from the Little Steven tour called "A Night to Remember," a CD, is one of the very best Shadow CDs ever. Nobody's ever going to hear it. Maybe if you guys, I'll send you one. But I mean, it was never released on any kind of a label that would do anything. I use those songs on my New Music Monday. On the Facebook page, there's a new song every week that
you paste it.
And that's heard. It's really well produced and mixed because we did it ourselves. And the songs
Jimmy,
in there are incredible.
That's a perfect point. Every Monday, everybody, friend Jimmy Sohn's Shadows of Night Facebook page. Every Monday you get
everybody has a throwback, and of course I got pictures of every kind of thing. Sooner or later, man, you'll see me beating up Sid Vicious on there. I got new music Mondays, throwback Thursdays, and fast forward Fridays, which always lists where I'm going to be and what's coming up, stuff like that. But the New Music Mondays is real popular. Shake is running today, and it's from Wolfman Jack. It's a live.
Yeah. It's got the Wolfman
Jack thing. Yeah.
I think it's from '89.
Yeah, and those are absolutely live. All those takes, and they're really good. Now, people talk about original members. Let's touch on that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Original members, and they're the ones that record and all that. There weren't original members on the Backdoor Man album. There was already two different. On the Shake album was a whole different band. So original members from what? Original members from one album. Now the guitar player and keyboard player, they're married and they're actually man and woman. You never know nowadays. They have been with me 35 years. The ones that are with me now. Oh, so boy. I mean, to me, they're original members. They've been with me longer than both my wives and the new one times 2 plus 5, and they've been with me 2 years longer than that. So, and they're great in that all the live stuff that you see lately, like the live Shake and Gloria from Wolfman Jack, that's them. The live there's a real live, really good live Uriah Heep. Of course, we all know I got in a little trouble a few years back, and I learned my lesson. I got spanked, and I went away for 3 years. So I have my own version of, I call it dealing. Made my break in a 6-year mistake. Dealing when I should have been buying. But that's a spectacular Uriah Heep type. It's good. And I'll put it against your live Uriah Heep any day of the week. Any day. It's spectacular players. That runs. There are 90 YouTubes. There's 90 Jimmy Sohn's Shadows Night YouTubes. 17 of which are Glorias with either Cheap Trick, Rick Springfield, great Gloria player by the way, Ted Nugent, Little Steven, you name it. I got a Gloria with them. Of course, I got to warn you. There's a couple like when you go to you say you'll go to your neighbor's birthday party, and you go there, and they got, a 15-year-old kid playing drums on garbage cans, and all you walk in and they start playing Gloria and hand you a microphone, you want to die. There's a few of those.
That's why, hey, listen. But everybody knows the song Gloria, so you're going to have all types asking you to sing.
I had a 68th birthday party a week ago Saturday at the Blues Bar in Mount Prospect, which is
happy
real
belated
close
birthday,
to where,
by the way.
Yeah, and then that, we break our attendance record every time we play there. It's right in the middle of where everything started. It's 3 miles from where the cellar was. It's across the street from the Shadows' first gig ever in 1965 at the VFW Hall. It's right down the street from the high school. I mean, they come out of the woodwork when we play there. I told the guy, I said, I should have given you the door and taken the Walker concession. Well, I was going to have a new tour. I was going to call it Gramps with Amps.
At least they come out, Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you got to play early because they're on the second round of the Meds by 9 o'clock.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe that's the best time to play when the Meds kick in.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy, I want to thank you so much for giving us this time. And like we alluded to before, it's only a matter of time.
No, I would like you to stay in the line when we're done here, if you could, for a minute, because I want to get the information positively so I can start posting it on the page. Or you'll pick up some listeners. I have thank God, still have a wide following of people who like to know what I'm up to, and I would like them all to be able to hear this too.
I appreciate it. I'll say goodbye to you here, but we'll stick on the line after we say goodbye. Okay. But Jimmy, thanks so much for giving us this time.
And for everybody out there, thanks for listening, and keep on rocking.